Welcome to the fourth episode of the Lazare podcast. This episode features me, Lazare, and my guest Zia Rahman, a serial entrepreneur who has founded several companies in the hospitality and technology industries, with names like Seaside Lodging LLC or Systems and Engineering Solutions. Think of his business roles as two sides of the same coin. Both types of companies make money, yes, and both require people to make that money flow. But the required expertise is so different in each industry. It's as if Zia became a chess master and then switched to golfing. In this interview, Zia talks about the importance of trust when starting a business, the mental framework he uses when evaluating different investment opportunities, and the toughest business decision he ever had to make. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my chat with Zia Rahman. Welcome to the Lazare podcast, a place where I talk to exceptional individuals who have found their flow. In this first season, I attempt to capture the mental processes of entrepreneurs and explain how they started movements that make them tap dance to work each day. This podcast is for students, entrepreneurs, and anybody in between the two.
My first question, can you walk me through your story, your journey, and how you became your own business owner?
Actually, I'm doing several small businesses. I started different kinds of businesses long time back, and I'm still continuing those besides my regular job. So I started one of my IT business and back in 1996 with a few of my friends back in Bangladesh. We are still running that business, but I'm mainly doing the administration and financing part I'm managing, but the day-to-day operation is managed by one of my friends who is the managing director over there. But after coming here in the United States, it is kind of hard for me to manage the day-to-day operations. And then I started doing a regular full-time job. And then in 2006-07 time, one of my other friends asked me whether I'm interested to invest and do business in hospitality area where you can buy small hotel or motel and then you can run as an individual operator, or maybe you can buy franchise. So I started that in 2007. We bought a Red Roof in Michigan. And it is 1.5 hour drive from my house. So I was able to do some administrative and marketing tasks for that property. And then after doing that business, we eventually bought several other small motels and we are continuing that business. And as I have mentioned to you that recently I have started another IT business here that is a kind of a professional service that I do in the database administration area. So that is I'm doing by myself.
Very cool. You made me think of this. Have you read The Dondi Investor by Monish Pabrai?
No, unfortunately I did not.
One of the examples is about owning hospitality properties and how to do it in a smart way. You said you're in mostly a finance role with a company that's back in Bangladesh, and I'm interested in, one, what that kind of entails, and two, how that influenced the way you hire and the way you do business with your partners, because you can't be there day to day and make sure that everything's going as planned.
This is very important in business to have trust. That is the main investment that you need in a business besides any other things that you need to start. So we have a few friends that we trust each other, and then we try to save some money, and then we said, okay, we'll put all our savings and start a business. So we each other at that time, it will be probably equivalent to $3,000 or $4,000 US. We put together and then bought several hardware to build a clone computer. And then we started selling those to those who knew us. And then eventually we sell to those computers in government office or NGO offices.
Interesting. And that you touch on an important point there. The trust is extremely important to the success of your business. How did you build that trust? How did you go through the process of saying, I will trust you with my savings, all of my savings, from not knowing them when you were younger?
Actually, we studied together, so it is kind of a cohort system. So we were studying for 5-6 years. Every day we see each other, and so we know how our lifestyle is. So I know that this person is not spending money on some bad habits or bad investment, So he is not he is a risk taker, but he is a calculative risk taker like me. So we have something in common that we like each other. And I believe that, okay, he is kind of like me, the way I like to save or the way I like to spend money. So that is kind of a similar mentality, I believe, is the material that feel that person can be trusted.
Yeah. Kind of a follow-up. You say you're a calculated risk taker. Can you walk us through an example of a risk you did take with a business and an example of a risk you passed on?
Yeah, sure. If you wanted to bet something like in a game or in a casino, you can make much quicker money or you can lose money quicker. When I'm saying the calculative risk, so you check, okay, this is my total investment and how can I get a better return from using this money and which way? If I save this money and deposit in a bank, that is a secure income for you, but the return will be much less because this is safe. But when you say, okay, I wanted to bet in a game or in a horse race, yes, you might get higher return, but there is a good chance that you will be losing all of your money. Yeah. So we thought, okay, with our knowledge, we can build computer or we can start building a small software. And then we can sell those to the market, This way we can get better return than any other thing that we could do at the time. Right. So that's why I'm saying that this is like a calculative risk,
Because at worst you're out not a lot of money and you're the lowest cost provider in the entire area.
Right, yeah.
So like heads I win, tails I don't lose much. I'm very interested actually in the hospitality space. And how do you screen properties to expand from your principal one near your home?
You mean why I invested in hospitality besides buying a property like a home?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that. But again, I found that if I invest in a home business, the return of investment might be a little bit risk-free, but it will be less again. Usually, from the experience I have, I did not invest in housing market, but the calculation I have done and found that I might get maybe 5 to 10% in a business if I do own a property and rent it out with my investment after paying the mortgage and all other maintenance. I might get maybe 5%, but if it is a good property, good market, then I might get maybe maximum of 10% in a year, but very unlikely. On the other hand, I found that if we buy a small property that is not doing well in hospitality side, then we can put our effort, our knowledge, and then we can make it better. And it is possible that we might get better return than the housing market. So that's why we went to that route to see which property is not doing well, but there is an opportunity to do much better.
What's your minimum return on investment before you invest in a new location?
For business, we look for long-term return, not the short-term return.
Yeah.
So if I can do maybe 15% on a return after 1 or 2 years, and we found that we can do maybe 20% plus after spending 3-4 years. I found that is a good business to do because there is not much area I can get better, safe return to doing other business with my capacity.
And that's a fantastic return. 20% is outperforming the market by at least 8%.
But again, that is after doing several years,
Yeah, in my personal opinion, at least, I think that's a good deal. I would take that deal.
Yeah, sure. And other thing is, if you do better in revenue and customer service, then your equity value actually also get increased. So if you wanted to sell that property, then from the money you are making from the operations, even if it is 15 to 20%, I'll be happy with it. But at the same time, I'm gaining a lot of equity if I can sell it, you know.
It's two-sided then. You're getting extra cash flow straight in your pocket. You're going to recoup your investment within 5 years. And then top of that, you have a complete equity stake in the property as well. You've limited your downside as well.
Yeah, that is the main motivation to do this type of business.
Okay. And if you could learn one new industry, what new industry would you go into?
Definitely the technology and then probably the energy.
Why tech and energy?
Technology, I'm doing in the IT area. And I found that there's a lot of opportunity, and if you can bring a new technology after doing several years of research, you can sell that. If you can be a pioneer, you can make a really good money. But again, I have not done it by myself, but now I'm doing consultancy services, and I hope that I can find that what my customers need, and if I can provide them those technology, then I can make good money.
What's a difficult business decision you had to make, and why did you go with the decision you did?
Closing any business is very hard because sometimes we need to sell property because we thought that we have made enough money from this property, and this is a good time to sell it to gain the equity you have received. But after some time, you make a very good relationship with your employees, you know, and then it is hard to tell them that because of other business opportunity or some other reason you need to close this business, and then the relationship that you build, the trust you have with all the employees, then it is hard.
What did you I'm assuming you closed the business then. And is there any internal dialogue you had or person you turn to for advice when you have to make that kind of tough decision? Is there a question you ask yourself to make sure you're doing right by these people?
Once the deal is kind of matured, then we disclose what they can do in future if they ask us, you know. And also we give them the example that we have done this type of business with a lot of patients. For example, those who are our managers, we advise them, you can invest with us, and if you wanted to manage another property or something, if you are willing to relocate, we'll hire you. But if you stick with this business, one day you can be a owner of this type of property, you know, and then you can do your own business. But it will take time, and you need to have some kind of passion for doing the business.
Sounds like you do care and you're trying to do the best by these people. In that case, how do you make sure you're hiring the right people? You mentioned trust and everything. When you came to the U.S. and you didn't have this history with people, were there tricks you used? Like, for example, being close enough to the property to visit it on a regular basis in order to establish that baseline of trust with your employees and your investment partners?
After signing the task to the partners, you can see whether they are doing their job correctly. And then you can say, okay, I ask you to email me this document and still 2 days, you know, you didn't do that. Then it's kind of tell you that that person either is overloaded or either not caring or not following your instructions. When I see that people are responding on time and do their best, then I started to trust them. Whatever I need, that person is very helpful to me, and he's seeing or she is seeing the same thing. For example, sending the bill, you know, if you are not paying your bill on time, then you can avoid some fees or some penalties. So we give bonus that if a manager can avoid all this stuff, that unnecessary spending money.
I'm far away from having this be a problem, but I think it's important to think about things before they occur. How do you balance your work life with your family life and making sure that you're present when you're with your family? When you're at work, you're executing?
I'm probably not the good person to say that I'm doing the right thing to my family. But again, my family understand what I wanted to do for the family. And whenever they need me, I'm always there. So whenever I get some spare time, I definitely, yes, I'm doing something for the business for different areas. Either I am on the call with my friends to discuss the future opportunities, or I'm visiting the property. But many times I offered them that why don't we go all together? But again, everybody is busy. So depending on the school or my wife's work schedule, sometimes we can make, but sometimes we can't. At the end, they understand what I'm doing, and they understand that I'm doing everything for the family.
I thought you might say that you were working a lot. It sounds like you're a hard worker. How do you keep work fun when you're working many, many hours?
I would like working, and when I can see I can solve some problem, then it makes me really happy. And I like to see when the client is also happy that I resolve some of their problem, or I give them the good advice, or the person I'm working with appreciate my work. So those really encourage me to do more work, and then I really like to work more.
There you have it. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast this week. You can subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, feel free to give me a review or feedback. You can also hit me up at lazarespodcast.com/contact. Cheers.